My sister showed up uninvited to my new home and smirked, "This place is too big for you, so I'm moving in." When I refused, she crossed her arms and sneered, "Then I'll just tell Mom you stole money from the family." I opened my laptop, pulled up my bank statements, and said, "Great. Let's also show her the transactions where you took thousands from my account." Moving into my first home, a modest two-bedroom in the suburbs of Chicago, was a milestone I'd worked tirelessly to achieve. Years of budgeting and saving had finally paid off, and I was eager to settle into this new chapter of my life. The house wasn't extravagant, but it was mine, and that was enough. One late afternoon, as the sun cast golden hues across the living room, a sharp knock interrupted my unpacking. Opening the door, I was met with the sight of my sister, Jessica. Our relationship had always been tumultuous. She, the older sibling, often carried an air of entitlement that had caused friction between us. We hadn't been in close contact since I'd moved out of our parents' home, so her unannounced visit was unexpected. "Hey, Jess," I greeted, masking my surprise. "What brings you here?" Without waiting for an invitation, she brushed past me into the house, her eyes scanning the surroundings with a critical gaze. "Nice place," she remarked, a smirk playing on her lips. "But don't you think it's a bit too big for just you?" I closed the door, turning to face her. "I think it's just right." She dropped her bag onto the couch, making herself comfortable. "Well, since it's so spacious, I've decided to move in." Her audacity left me momentarily speechless. "Move in? Jess, this is my house. I bought it." She leaned back, crossing her arms. "Come on, it's not like you need all this space. Besides, if you don't let me stay, I'll just tell Mom and Dad that you stole money from the family." A surge of anger and disbelief coursed through me. Jessica had always been manipulative, but this was a new low. Taking a deep breath to steady myself, I walked over to my laptop, opened it, and pulled up my bank statements. "Is that so?" I said, turning the screen toward her. "Let's also show them the transactions where you took thousands from my account." Her face drained of color. She hadn't anticipated that I had kept records. Jessica had a history of borrowing money without permission, always with empty promises to repay. I don't know what you're talking about," she stammered. I tapped the screen, highlighting the unauthorized transfers to her account. "Really? Because these say otherwise." She swallowed hard, her bravado crumbling. "Look, I was in a tough spot. I needed the money." I sighed, a mix of frustration and disappointment weighing on me. "Jess, you can't just take what's not yours and then threaten me when you don't get your way." She looked away, biting her lip. "I'm sorry." "Sorry isn't enough," I replied firmly. "You need to leave." Jessica grabbed her bag, her shoulders slumped. "I didn't mean for things to get like this." I opened the front door, signaling for her to go. "Think about your actions, Jess. This isn't how family treats each other." She nodded silently and walked out. As I closed the door behind her, a weight lifted off my shoulders. Setting boundaries wasn't easy, especially with family, but it was necessary. I hoped this would be a turning point for Jessica to reflect and change. In the days that followed, I changed all my banking passwords and ensured my accounts were secure. Trust, once broken, is hard to rebuild. But I was hopeful that with time, our family could heal from this. I didn't hear from Jessica for weeks after I kicked her out. No texts, no calls. Part of me hoped she was out of my life for good. But with Jess, silence is never just silence. It's always the calm before the storm. Then one morning, I got a call from my mom. Her voice was tight, sharp, like she'd already picked a side before even hearing my voice. "Why didn't you tell me you kicked Jessica out onto the street?" she snapped. I blinked, still half asleep. "What?" "She said you threw her out like trash and refused to help her when she was desperate." I sat up in bed. "She tried to move into my house uninvited, Mom. She threatened me." Mom cut me off. "She said you stole money from the family. She said you've been hiding it." "I trusted you." I froze. My chest tightened. Jessica had gone all in with her lie. "I have proof she stole money from me," I said quietly. "Bank transfers." I can send you everything. But she wasn't listening. She's living in her car, James. What kind of brother lets his sister live in a car? I didn't respond. Because the real answer? The kind of brother who's been burned over and over again. The next few days were a mess. My mom called constantly, accusing me, crying, begging me to let Jessica stay, just until she gets back on her feet. I told her no. Every single time. I thought it was over. Until I got home from work and saw the locks on my door were changed. For a second, I thought I had the wrong house. But it was mine. My mailbox. My welcome mat. My goddamn front porch plant that I hated but kept because it was alive and trying. Then the door opened. Jessica stood there, arms crossed, looking smug. You changed my locks, I said, deadpan. No, she said. I changed mine. Since I live here now. She had broken in. Somehow got a locksmith to believe she was the homeowner. I don't know how. Maybe she used mail from our parents' house with my address on it. Maybe she lied her way through it, which she's always been good at. I didn't call the police right away. I should have. But instead, I told her to get out. She laughed. I talked to a lawyer, she said. You let me stay here once. That's a verbal agreement. You can't evict me without notice. I stared at her, stunned. You were here for 5 minutes. She shrugged. Still counts. 30 days, James. You want me out? Serve notice. It got worse. She threw out some of my stuff, rearranged the furniture, brought her trash in and left it in the living room. Dirty dishes piled up in the sink. She invited a friend over, a guy I'd never met, who blasted music in the middle of the night. I slept in my car for 3 nights while trying to figure out what to do. I couldn't believe it. My own sister had stolen my house. And legally, for now, there wasn't a damn thing I could do. I called my mom, told her everything. She cried again, but this time it was different. More like guilt. She said she didn't know Jess would go this far. Said she thought she was just being dramatic. I didn't respond. I was done explaining. I filed the formal eviction paperwork. 30 days. 30 more days of hell. But then something happened. I got a call from my bank. They flagged a suspicious attempt to access my account from an unknown location. I locked it down, changed everything. Later that night, I checked my laptop. The browsing history had been wiped. Completely clean. I'd left it at the house, thinking Jessica wouldn't touch it. Stupid. I logged into my backup cloud. There it was, an open Word document. James' family fraud docs. She was planning something. She had copied my banking details. Probably Photoshop statements. I don't know what exactly, but she was building a case. Maybe for our parents. Maybe for the police. That night, I realized it wasn't about needing a place to stay. It was about control. Jessica wanted to ruin me. And she didn't care how far she had to go. I started recording everything. Audio. Video. I made copies of every document, every message, every statement. I talked to a lawyer, explained the entire story. He said it was messy, but with enough documentation, I could not only get her out. I could press charges if she kept escalating. But Jessica? She didn't know that yet. She still thought she was winning. She still thought I was weak. And maybe that was going to be her biggest mistake. 2 weeks into the eviction notice, things got even worse. I had already accepted that I'd have to live in a hotel temporarily. I was bleeding money between legal fees, gas, food, and trying to find some kind of peace. Meanwhile, Jessica was living rent-free in my house, trashing it more every day from what the cameras showed. But then, I got a letter from the IRS. A thick envelope. Addressed to me. And it wasn't one of those basic tax reminders. I opened it and skimmed through the lines. My stomach dropped. It said I was being audited for unreported income. Thousands of dollars from what appeared to be family trust disbursements. Which didn't make sense, because there is no family trust. I called the number, sat on hold forever, and finally got through to someone. They read me the flagged transactions. There were bank transfers in my name, linked to a trust fund, supposedly from our late grandfather. problem is, that account didn't exist. My grandfather had died broke. I knew it. Everyone knew it. My hands shook as I asked for the recipient account number the money had come from. It was my bank. Jessica had created a fake trust, forged some documents, transferred money to my account, and then reported it as stolen family assets. On paper, it looked like I'd been hiding inheritance money from the rest of the family. I stared at the wall for maybe 10 full minutes. No thoughts. Just rage. She wasn't just squatting in my house. She was setting me up. I went back to my lawyer and gave him everything. The bank notices, the IRS letter, copies of every forged document I could find. We spent hours going over it all, and he said something that stuck with me. She's not stupid, but she's not careful. The key was finding what she overlooked. That's when I remembered something weird. When she first showed up at my door, she was already holding mail with my address on it. I thought maybe she'd stolen something from the mailbox, but now I was starting to wonder if she'd been intercepting it long before I moved in. I went to the post office and requested a mail hold and change of delivery. The clerk, a woman in her 50s with sharp eyes, leaned forward and said, "Didn't you already change this a month ago?" I blinked. No, I never changed anything. She showed me the form. Jessica had filed a mail forwarding request 2 weeks before I moved into the house. She was planning this long before she ever stepped foot in the house. I felt sick. All those missing bills, delayed paperwork, weird calls from services I never signed up for, it made sense now. She had rerouted my mail to our parents' address, filtered through it, and picked out the pieces she could use against me. That night, I drove past the house. From the street, I could see her inside. Lights on, music playing, someone else on the couch. A new guy. She had a glass of wine in her hand. My wine, from the fridge I'd stocked. I took out my phone and snapped a picture. Not just of her, but of the open front door, the stranger, the visible alcohol. All time-stamped. More proof. Then I got a notification on my phone from the camera inside. Motion detected. She was in my bedroom. Another alert. My drawer. She found the backup drive. The drive that had everything. I drove off and went straight to the police station. I didn't know what she would do with it, delete everything? Sell my info? But it was enough now. My lawyer filed a motion for emergency removal based on fraud and identity theft. We included everything: photos, documents, bank records, the IRS audit, and a detailed report of the forged trust fund. And we added one more thing, a statement from the locksmith. Turns out, Jessica had told the locksmith she was locked out of her house, claimed she had lost her ID in a break-in, and convinced him with a fake lease agreement. That fake lease? It had my forged signature at the bottom. We now had evidence of forged legal documents, mail fraud, bank fraud, identity theft, and illegal occupancy. But the court date was still 10 days away. 10 more days. 10 more days she'd be in my house. Unless I found a way to make her slip, publicly, legally, no question about it. And I had one idea left. Something risky. But if it worked, it'd change everything. I knew Jessica had made herself too comfortable. She thought she was untouchable because I was playing clean, playing fair. But fair doesn't work when the other person doesn't care about rules. So I stopped playing fair. I created a new email using a fake name. Nothing obvious. Just something professional looking. Then I posed as a property manager from a home documentary series based in Chicago. I said I was looking for interesting stories about people living in unique housing situations for a streaming pilot. I emailed Jessica, told her we were looking for strong, bold women who took their lives into their own hands. Survivors. Fighters. The kind of people who took back control of their circumstances. I said we were interested in interviewing her for the first episode. She replied in 10 minutes. Said she was perfect for it. I arranged a fake Zoom call. I recorded everything. Jessica bragged. For nearly 40 minutes, she talked nonstop. She said she claimed the house because her loser brother didn't deserve it, that she used legal tricks and identity backdoors to make sure he couldn't get her out. She even laughed when she said, "He doesn't even know the half of what I've done. I used his old tax stuff to fake an IRS report just to scare him." It's so easy when you know someone's passwords. I didn't say a word. I just let her talk. Then I packaged the recording, transcript, email trail, and sent it all to my lawyer, the IRS investigator assigned to my audit, and the local police department. My lawyer said it was like gold. He submitted the video as supplemental evidence before our court date. 3 days later, the police showed up at my house with a warrant. Jessica was arrested on the spot. Identity theft, mail fraud, unlawful occupancy, falsifying federal documents, and more. Her friend, who turned out to be involved in 2 other fraud cases, was taken in too. I was allowed into the house right after. It was trashed. Walls stained, furniture ruined, holes in doors, the fridge full of expired food. She'd let strangers in and out for weeks. My office was destroyed, but what made me snap was seeing my dog's old collar thrown in the garbage. She dug it out of a box of personal things and tossed it like trash. I sat on the floor and didn't say anything for a long time. The court ruled in my favor. Full removal. Protective order. Jessica couldn't come within 500 feet of my home or workplace. Her friend got charged separately. The IRS cleared me after seeing the full report. I wasn't responsible for the fake trust. They opened a fraud case on her instead. The news spread through the family fast. My mom was horrified. She apologized over and over, said she didn't know Jessica would go that far. I believed her, but I also didn't forget how quickly she turned on me when Jessica first lied. I told her I needed space, maybe a lot of it. She cried. I didn't. The damage was done. The house took thousands to fix. I sold it. I didn't want to live there anymore. The memories were ruined. I bought a smaller place a few miles away. No one knows the address. No one but my lawyer. I started over. Jessica got 2 years probation, 6 months of house arrest, and a felony on her record. No job would touch her now. She moved out of state after that. I haven't spoken to her since. Neither has most of the family. But sometimes I think about the day she walked into my home and said, "This place is too big for you." Like it was a game. Like she already owned it. She didn't understand something back then. You can lie. You can cheat. You can even steal. But when you try to ruin someone who's already lost everything and survived, you'll only light a fire they'll use to burn everything you built on your lies. And that's exactly what I did.